What's going on, everyone? My name is Eric. This is the Road to Freedom. Thanks for joining me. All right, once again, we're not getting away from our top 10 goals, so we'll do that now. Everyone loves top 10 goals. Otherwise, there's no reason to watch this channel if you're not writing down your goals. Road to Freedom, where we don't just learn, we do, right? Side note, going to be making a vision board. I love that shit. All right, if you've never done a vision board, it's great. Yeah, it's awesome. So I would highly recommend that one too. Let's change that to okay, cool. Top 10 goals are done. Once again, if we need a reason why we're looking at finances, right? Because we were looking at goals, we looked at emotions, now we're looking at finances. Is there any goals on your list that do not indirectly or directly deal with money? And if they are, I only have 3, and they're qualitative things, right? So chances are that most of your goals do deal with money. So we're gonna move on to the next section. So we were talking about in the first video, what is a budget, what are expenses, talked about a couple hurdles that I've noticed that folks run into. Went on to the next video, which was some math basics. Went on to the next 2 hurdles that I noticed that folks get into. Hopefully you've seen those and we're on the same page. Now we're gonna go back to the first one. We're gonna pull up our budget. Okay, we're gonna have that in front of us. And we wanna be able to see what we're spending our money on, right? What we're putting our resources towards. And we're gonna bump that against 2 sources, okay? So back in 2019, I think, 2019, after I've already met a bunch of my mentors, after I've read all these books, after I've done all this stuff, I was going to church and they said, hey, there's this thing called Crown Financial Ministries. So I'm faith-based. If that's not for you, that's fine. This can still apply to you. We just want to be able to bump our budget against some recommendations. And the next one isn't faith-based at all. It's from MIT. So we're going to look at this one first time. So here's how it goes. We have categories, your living status, standing, and then we have expenses. Okay, now you'll notice that these are all in percentages. This is based off 55,000, which I think is around the average median household income for the United States. What I want you to do is either go to the link in the description below or just write down these numbers, okay? So we have housing, food, transportation, right? All the way down to the optional school or childcare. Because if you're not going to school and you don't have childcare, it doesn't apply to you. If you do go to school or you have childcare, you're gonna have to pull this percentage from somewhere else. Now, if you count all the percentages in each one of these categories from here up, it's gonna come up to 90. Reason why is because once again, it's faith-based. In the Christian Judaic culture and Islam as well, there is this need, right? There's this commandment essentially to give 10%. I'm big on that. The reason why I'm big on that is because once again, it's like Dave Ramsey says, finances is not a numbers thing. If it was a numbers thing, we can all figure it out. It's a behavioral thing. And whenever you give your first 10% or whatever you can give away, and that's the first thing you do, it makes you kind of pull in and not be so reckless. right? Like if you have $100 and now you're down to 90, shit, you better figure it out, right? And so that I really appreciate that. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We are going to, you're gonna pause the video if this applies to you. So we got single. Go ahead and write those down and bump that against your own budget. We've got single with the child, so single parent. We've got married. And then we got married with 2 kids. Okay. So exercise is to look at your budget, bump it against this, and see how close you are. If you're the average American, 75% of Americans don't have $1,000 in savings. Chances are you are one of them. I don't care how much you make. Talk to super rich people who make a shit ton of money, don't even have $1,000. But what's weird is that while 75% of Americans don't have 1,000 and 85% of Americans don't have 2,000 in their savings account, the average American credit card debt is $8,000. So if you look at this, for example, debt, which is right here, it says 5%, that's recommended. Chances are if you have $8,000 in credit card debt, you're paying more than that. You probably have more than just your credit cards, right? So if you have somewhere that's over, you have to borrow from somewhere else, right? The idea is that you want to get closer to this recommended. And you might make changes. Like for example, savings, right? Savings is 5%. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I think when I was running 40% of my income went towards my expenses. I think I was running like 20 some odd percent towards savings. That's how I got to that 10,000. But yeah, anyway, this is the first thing. Bump it against your list. See if it, where you're at. Let's get a, now that we have an understanding of our budget, let's see where we stack against these heuristics. So description will be in a link below. Go ahead and do that now. And if you feel like, your shit's out of control, that's totally fine. Let's just keep on moving. See you soon.